February the 21st, 2022. As you're looking at images of our sun, this started yesterday and they go up to the current one now. And this region on the top left side of this very active solar region that has created havoc, starting with Elon Musk satellites, is now turning to where we're getting an idea of what we're seeing. And it's actually two sunspots in a very active large region. And we're going to look at a couple of different things about it. Again, it's two sunspots in this region, very active. You can see the flares are starting to burst from it already. I think we've seen, again, I think 4 vents with this filament release, that large, what I call the Fire of God video, that large CME, and then the event with Elon Musk. Now, what I'm looking at in this still image concerns me, because when you've got a red or orange area and then a blue area in this section, you're dealing with opposite polarities, like a post on a battery. You touch them together and you're going to get a spark. And this close proximity can kick things off very quickly and very powerful. We've already seen 3 events from it so far. Again, it's a dual system. You've got the top section, and then just under it, both are turning Earth facing. We're going to have to watch this very carefully and hope we don't get broadsided. So we're going to keep a very close eye on this thing. We've already seen what it can do. And they were downplaying it early this morning. They were saying it was one very small sunspot. And after we saw that information in the video yesterday, I had a very good idea and feeling that it was multiple sunspots to make an area that large. Just look at the brightness of this area compared to the other active regions on the surface of our sun. Now, Dr. Tony Phillips of Space Weather put this article up last October, but the event he's talking about occurred back in October of 2003, called the Halloween Storms. It says the day Earth lost half its satellites. It says, imagine waking up to that headline. It actually happened October day 2003 on the 28th. Turn back the clock 18 years, solar cycle 23 was winding down. We're in the upswing of solar cycle 25 now, and space weather forecasters were talking about how quiet things would soon become when suddenly the sun unleashed 2 of the strongest flares of the space age. The first, an X-17 category blast on October 28, hurled this CME directly at Earth. Guys, it was traveling about 5 times faster than most of them do. You're looking at a picture of it here. Got the sun in the center, Mercury's off to the left, and this full halo, what they call a full halo CME, blasted straight at our planet. It's amazing. Right after that, they had a second X flare that was nearly this fast. Both traveled at over 5 million miles per hour. Normally it takes 24, 36, 48 hours for one of these to hit the Earth. 19 hours. Traveling 2,125 kilometers per second, almost 5 million miles per hour. The cloud slammed into Earth's magnetic field only 19 hours later, sparking an extreme G5 magnetic storm. The storm had barely begun when the sun erupted again, an X10 flare. Guys, these are huge. On October 29th, created another CME traveling almost as fast. It also arrived in 19 hours. The 1-2 punch kept the geomagnetic storms going for almost 3 full days. This is what it looked like over Houston, Texas. This is from Christy Ponder on October 29, 2003. Notice these are not green. That much energy. They were red. It says auroras were just the tip of the iceberg. High-energy particles accelerated by the CMEs rifled toward Earth, peppering our planet's atmosphere with protons and electrons. On board the International Space Station, astronauts took shelter in the hardened Zvezda service module. Hundreds of miles below, airline pilots were changing courses. Almost every flight over Earth's poles detoured to lower latitudes to avoid radiation, costing about $100,000 per flight. Many Earth-orbiting satellites experienced data outages, reboots, and even unwanted thruster firings. Some operators simply gave up and turned the instruments off. Goddard's Space Science Missions Operation Team estimates that 59% of NASA's Earth and space science satellites were affected. Now, these are graphs. And what it is, these purple areas are satellites, and they're measured in altitude in kilometers. And then you've got in kilometers the distance of error. In other words, all of these in 3 hours were starting to escape from the satellite band. Notice the purple dots, but by 18 hours, they had spread very far out. In other words, they were losing control. Some they never recovered. But again, it was tracking then 2,653 objects. Elon Musk wants about 60,000 of his birds up. Now, what happens when we get this elevated electron-proton bombardment, just like we're seeing today from the solar wind? This is Mount Etna today. It blew. This is a space shot from on the left, and then I think this is a ski resort or somewhere in that area on the right. We're adding more and more ash into the atmosphere. But when you have weakened shields like we do now, elevated solar wind, we saw it every time this happened. We saw La Palma increase in lava output and the ash output. But that cloud there you see on the left. And by the way, they've been checking some of these tectonic cracks and plates along this area, these fault zones in Italy, and they're saying that there's some very large cracks already occurring. Now, this thing goes off more than most volcanoes, but this is a very large explosion. They're saying, I think, about 7.5 miles, that it was, by the time they were photographing it and looking at it, the ash was about 7.5 miles high. This was the huge ash cloud lingering above Cantinia, a port city of Sicily's east coast. It says the cloud rose 12 kilometers or 7.5 miles. And if you read this Twitter account, and some of this is from AP News, but you've got a couple of airports that are closed in that area. This is forcing the temporary closure of the airport in Cantinia. And another one, I think that was Palermo, if I'm not mistaken. I may have pronounced it wrong. But you can go to Twitter, type in Etna Volcano today, and you'll get a lot of reports. I think there's a lot more pictures available. I saw one to where skiers were coming down a slope, and the volcano was blowing up above them. May have not been the same slope, but it was very close. They were kind of casual. I think I would have been moving a little faster than what I saw some of those guys doing, but in that area, they're used to it. Now, again, the game changer here is that they're noticing new cracks and faults in that area, so pay attention to it. Guys, we're watching it. We're going to keep an eye on this solar active region. It's a heads up. Be safe.